Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. How's everyone feeling? How's the sound? Can you guys hear us okay? Let us know. So, the reason we are a few minutes delayed is we were setting up the space. We were calling in the dragons. We were calling in the angels. We were calling in the Andromedans, the Arcturians, only because this video is all about the 9 dimensions. And so, hi, Merlin. Hi, Coach Kathy. Hi, everybody.
I'm just going to quickly adjust this light.
Okay, so basically, welcome everybody. So this whole video is a topic that our guides wanted us to talk about. Siman got this download a few days ago. Yeah, that light's looking really good. Siman got this download a few days ago to talk about the 9 dimensions. And even though there's 12 dimensions, how we have to be connected to all the 9 dimensions from 1 to 9, basically, to harmonically co-create with these 9 dimensions. So that's what this is going to be all about. And Siman, if you want to say something,
Yeah, I
and then I
just
have a
wanted to
few
add at this point
updates.
because many people have different belief systems about the dimensions. And some people will say, aren't there 24 dimensions? Aren't there 100,000 dimensions? There are all kinds of evaluation systems, but the dimensions are basically God's source. The dimensions are infinite. So there are an infinite number of dimensions, but our guidance today has been limited to the first 9 dimensions because that's the highest capacity our human mind can comprehend at.
I love that. So before we begin, we're just going to take a minute to harmonize the field. If you want to just place your hand on your heart and start tuning into your breath. Taking deep breaths, filling yourself up with life force, filling your every cell, every molecule, every atom in your body with prana energy. Taking a moment, just a moment, to tune into the galactic, multi-dimensional being that you are. Tuning in just for a moment to the enormity of who you are and the fact that you reside in many dimensions all at once, parallel realities all at once. Tuning into the realization that you are a higher dimensional being here on earth to experience this third dimensional reality because it's given you the chance, the golden opportunity as you are on earth, healing your traumas, healing your ancient wounds, evolving at light speed. The realization that this life on earth is actually rectifying, repairing all of your DNA in all dimensions. Really tuning into the enormity of that statement, my friends. You've been given a chance to come to earth to heal all your simultaneous existences by being on earth, by healing here on earth in this third dimensional reality. You are healing all dimensions where you exist. Calling in our guides, our angels, our guardian angels, our galactic family. Come, come, come. Join us for this beautiful transmission. Be with us here today. And so it is.
And so it is.
In your own time, welcome back, everybody. So, we have an amazing update for you today. We felt very guided, very inspired to really take you through dimensions from 1 to 9 and really how every single one of us is connected to all of these dimensions. But before we start, I have some amazing news. I want to spend 3 or 4 minutes to get you caught up because there is so much going on in our vortex, in our lives. So, first of all, let's start with the most exciting announcement. New Earth Festival Croatia is happening. We are actually
Yay.
right now designing a kick ass website. We cannot wait for you guys to see it.
We are super excited
We
for this
are
one.
so pumped because Tulum was the first festival. Miami was the first House of Ra event. Now that we've had Tulum, we know exactly what to do, where to go, what to focus on, what more to do.
And guides are saying when we
Oh,
talk about Tulum, always remember the fact that we cleared the oceans at
my
Tulum.
God,
And
you guys
somebody,
remember?
yeah, we actually came into Tulum with ocean full of seaweed, and by the third day, with our prayers and meditations, we had completely cleared the
Clear
ocean.
blue oceans,
And
guys.
for people who think, oh, that might be a coincidence, it might be a clear day. Just for background, Tulum is like full of seaweed, and they hardly have a day full of
In
seaweed
May.
between for like 9 months a year. So to have that happen is a miracle.
The whole of Tulum, for every single one of you who came to the New Earth Music Festival, all of Tulum is talking about it. And a few days ago, a few weeks ago, our guide said, Eldora and Siman, you guys are so used to miracles, just like many of you light workers. You're not even stopping to pause on the miracle that occurred in Tulum.
I know even we had a bit of cognitive
We're like,
dissonance. We're
what?
like, yeah, we cleared the ocean. Let's go to Croatia.
So, guys, New Earth Festival Croatia is coming December 29th to January 3rd. It's going to be on New Year's Eve. Highlights of the event are on New Year's Eve. Siman and I, are you guys ready? Siman and I are going to have a sacred ceremony, galactic dance party. And guess what the theme is? Atlantis slash Egypt god and goddesses dance party on New Year's Eve, my friends. It's going to be out of this world. And guess what? We are going to, this is the intention at least, we're going to move in from 2022 to 2023 in complete pin drop silence and meditation.
Yes.
It's, I have goosebumps as I said this.
It's
So
going
we're
to be
gonna
epic,
dance, we're
guys.
going to dance, and at the stroke of midnight, all lights, all music will be turned off, and we're going to, it's making me emotional just talking about it. We're going to pass through that in a very, very, very powerful vortex. And so that's the first announcement. The second announcement is that we have a kick-ass dance explosion planned for the for the 2nd of January. Guess what it is, guys? The Arcturian Mothership Back to the Future dance explosion. We're gonna have the whole space like an Arcturian mothership. We're gonna have Arcturian encoded frequency music. We are it's
Actually, the DJ who is DJing this party is not a 3D DJ. He's an Arcturian starseed walk-in.
and he's a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
So it's
And
going to be amazing.
he encodes his music at different frequencies from every single instrument that comes. If he plays one sound sample, he attunes it to a specific frequency, and they're all 432 hertz encoded. So that's the vibration of the heart of Mother Earth.
Yes. So we're super, super excited. So the Arcturian, and of course, we're going to have all the 5D workshops, the Tantra workshops, the healing, the inner child healing, all of that. This time, we're also encouraging children to come. The minimum age for children is 7 years. There's so many beautiful star seed, indigo, rainbow children who love our kind of events. My only request is if your children absolutely do not want to go, don't force them, because the children who are automatically attracted to these will not want to miss it. They will want to come.
Yeah, their souls will call them.
Their souls will call them. So that's the first one. The website will be up by mid-September. But if any of you wants to book tickets and you have any questions, write to us at info@houseofra.com. We're happy to give you any information so that you can book your flight tickets and all of that. All of us will be staying at a 5-star hotel. We've got some really, really good deals. Like for 2 people, it's €270 for 2 people to share a gorgeous seafront in a 5-star hotel. Ocean view facing room. It comes with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we've really thought of everything. So our stay is super easy. Okay. Now, second update. We have so many updates. We have two more updates. So the second update is on September 4th, which is, I believe, this coming, oh my God, 1 week from now,
Oh my God.
next Sunday. I can't believe time.
Time flies.
Guys,
By.
first of all, can you guys believe it's already almost September
Holy
1st?
shit, right?
Didn't we just
It's
have the Tulum
crazy.
event like yesterday?
Wasn't it January 1st yesterday?
It's September. It's going to
I
be New
know.
Year soon. Oh my, like, I don't know where the time is going. It's kind of getting freaky, by the way. It's September, you guys. It'll be 2023, 2024 very soon. Anyway, so September 4th, we're having Suman and I are actually going to be doing our first offering for the New Earth Mystery School that we have just launched in the last few weeks. We have memberships for gold, memberships for $44 a month, and silver for 44, gold for 88. And the good news is that this Sunday is our first offering. We're going to be doing a 90-minute, we say 90, it may go on a little longer. It's going to be a one-on-one ascension coaching, mastery level soul coaching for any questions you have, any challenges you're facing on your ascension path. And guys, I really wanted to say this. You know how we in 3D, we have all these rules that silver members won't get healings and gold members get healings. Guess what? All of that is garbage because, yes, of course, the gold members will get one dedicated channel healing that silver members are not invited to. But guess what? For this very first
They're invited
session,
to it with the gold membership.
the silvers won't. Yeah, silvers can still come. You just have to upgrade to gold. But
You're
guess what,
invited.
guys? This is so freaky. So you know how the first event is on September 4th, and it's supposed to be for silvers and golds because it's a silver level offering. Guess what? Our guides just channeled into us a root chakra healing that we're going to be starting this with, even though it's a one-on-one ascension coaching. Because what the guides are saying is that right now, light workers and humanity, what was the download you received?
Basically, they gave us a very powerful root chakra activation that kind of like zipped all of our energy from all directions and brought it back into our root chakra. Because they're saying right now, the Earth ship is like moving at like the speed of a boat in a rapid. Like it's like getting shaky and rowdy, and there's like things flying all over. So we need to be grounded. We need to be stable, and the root chakra connection is very important right now for all of humanity. So the kind of download they gave us, it like brought back like all of our energy, like an implosion, and concentrated it in the root chakra. And it's a very quick activation, and it's something you can use every day to feel stable and grounded. So we'll share that on September 4th.
Guys, there's a few ways you can attend, and we'll go into 9 dimensions in less than 2 minutes. I promise. I can feel your excitement. Many of you are like so excited. So with September 4th, the way it's going to work is we're going to do it on Zoom video, where all of you can basically attend live. All of you've been to our Zoom videos before. Many of you, some of you will have the chance to come online and ask us questions, and we'll be giving you one-on-one coaching live. And the way this works is because really, we're all individual, but we're all part of the same soup. So if one person has a question, everyone can benefit with the answers of the same question. So the first event, the way you can attend is you can either become a New Earth Mystery School member. So if you're interested, go to www.EldoRaandSiman.love. The other way is if you don't want to become a Mystery School member, even though it's only $44 a month and you actually get 2 events, you can also pay $44 and get an Eventbrite ticket to just Sunday's offering. So both options are available. You can go on our social media. You'll see the Eventbrite link on our Facebook, which is Eldora and Siman. You'll also see, so there's 2 options. There's the Eventbrite link, and all of this will be emailed to you if you're already part of our subscription. Any questions, write to info@houseofra.com. I guess that's it. That's my updates.
That's it for
all right, guys. So we're going to dive in. With that being said, welcome everybody. 350 people in the house, you people. Where are you guys logging in from? As Siman starts, tell us. I saw Cape Town. I saw all kinds of...
Merlin is so excited about the 9 dimensions.
Oh my God. I can feel the excitement. So let's start with that. And this video is probably going to be Bristol, England, Canada. Amazing. India. Wow. Ireland, UK, oh my
Missouri,
God, Copenhagen, Netherlands,
Israel,
Miami Beach in the house, Sydney, Australia,
some country I can't even pronounce,
New York, San Diego, India,
Japan,
Mumbai, oh my
so
God,
a couple of Japans in
New
the
York.
house.
If you're in New York, you have to go to Jaya Thai restaurant. It's the best. Los Angeles, Bangladesh, oh my,
I think
Finland,
we know restaurants in almost every city in
South
the world.
Carolina, Ebony in the house, Susan's in the house. Liara in the house from Las Vegas. Okay, guys, thank you. Let's get started. Let us get
Okay,
started.
beautiful. So our guides told us to talk about this topic about 9 dimensions, but some of you might be wondering, why do we even need to know about the 9 dimensions, and how is it even related to myself? How is it related to my life? How does it affect me? And every teaching that we bring forth has a connection to your life, and it gives you a map of how to go from where you are to towards source, towards God consciousness, towards perfection, because ultimately that is the journey of evolution. We're going from limited beings to unlimited beings, from human to superhuman. And the explanation of the 9 dimensions is pretty much that it is the map of the ascension. Because as we go from a simple life form to more and more and more complex life forms, we're essentially traveling through dimensions. So you can think of the dimensional map as the map of consciousness. So right now, humanity in 3D, in the physical plane, most of humanity, I would say 95% of humanity, is in 3D consciousness. So I'm not going to start from the first dimension. I'm going to start with the third dimension, because that's where we are. And that's, we already know the third dimension. It's easy to understand. So we don't have to like scratch our heads too much. So the third dimension is where we are right now. This is our physical realm. This is a realm of duality. This is where good versus evil, light and dark. This is like polar opposites, north, south, east, west, like right, left. So this is all about choice. It's all about direction. You can go this direction, you can go this direction, you can go backwards, you can repeat your karma, you can incarnate here thousands of times, or you can ascend. All of these are choices. So the third dimension that we live in is a realm of duality. It's a plane of duality. And people who really succeed in their ascension know what the third dimension is about. They know that in order to move past the trap of the matrix, or the trap of what the ancient mystics called the Maya, or the illusion, in order to move out of this trap of ever reincarnating over and over and going through pain, going through suffering, going through misery, all of these are avoidable if we understand the map of consciousness and what is the next step that lies here, and what are some of the things that we came here to master in the third dimension. So what we're achieving, what we're trying to do today, this is our guide speaking, what we're intending to do rather is to give the audience a map of the ascension and what is the curriculum of each dimension, so you know how to pass through all of these dimensions.
And one thing I'm also feeling inspired to remind everyone watching is that when we say we're all existing in parallel realities or multiple dimensions, what does that really mean? To say we're all higher dimensional beings here on Earth in a like in a third dimensional planet, what does that even mean? So let's talk about that before we dive in. So I can say this is what I've experienced in my own life, basically. I was dormant or asleep or completely unconscious, like many of you. Many of you have actually had your awakening a long time ago, but that doesn't really mean anything. Some of you may have just awoken 2 years ago, and you may already be ahead of the game than many people who awoke 20 years ago. So, what do I mean that there are higher dimensional aspects of us existing simultaneously in the now moment? The best way I can explain it is that when I was asleep, I was completely dormant, or rather, my higher self was completely uninterested in what was going on in my life. The higher self becomes more attuned or in tune or interested or okay, or even the guides, they come on when you have reached a certain level in your vertical axis. When I say vertical axis, I mean pillar of light, where you're going from 3D to 4D to 5D. And then once you go to 5D, you can access all of the dimensions above, and we'll get into that in a bit. So, going back to how you're a higher dimensional being in here in this physical body, what that really means is that right now, really absorb this. Everything that you're doing on your body, on your evolution, on your triggers, on your ego, on balancing your four body system, which is your physical body, your diet, what are you eating. Look at your body. How your body looks is a very, and this is actually going to freak out some of you. How your body looks in the flesh and blood is an indication of what your spirit needs healing for. Just soak that up for a second.
Exactly.
Many masters, many humans, many higher beings come to earth to get a physical reflection of what, where in their spirit they need healing. And earth is the best place to get healing, evolution, and fast forward in your ascension journey. So once you start activating your life, your joy, once you start tuning into your joy, your bliss, your health, your ascension, all of a sudden your higher dimensional aspects, which is your higher self, that could be like my higher self resides in, remember we were shown that
Yeah.
shaman version 8D.
It was a 9D
It was
shaman.
like I was shown very clearly, and Saman has had similar
It was
visions.
ISIS, basically,
My
9D.
higher self Isis version resides in 9D. And when I see her, she's wearing a black cloak and there's absolutely nothing. It's a void. It's just black. It's just dark because above 8D, it's just the void. And so
Mm.
my shaman priestess, my shaman higher self in 9D is actually doing a very similar job to my human in 3D. What does that mean?
Exactly.
What am I doing in 3D, in 3D Earth? I'm using my YouTube channel as a broadcasting station to emit a certain frequency through our transmissions, through our festivals, through our YouTube videos, to gather shamans, light workers, star seeds, indigos, crystals, to attune them to 5D frequencies. The same way, my higher self that resides in, like my Isis higher self that resides in 9D, has her own temple. And I've been shown this in great detail where she goes up and she's wearing this black robe. She has no form, it's just pure black, dark. And through these temples, she broadcasts a frequency that tunes shamans and other beings that are more in like the lower dimensions, like in 5D, 6D, 7D. Like she attunes those frequencies to the higher frequencies. So many of you have a strong connection with Sirius or Andromeda or Arcturus or whatever, Pleiades, whatever it is. If you feel a really, 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 really strong connection with one of those star systems, it's very likely that a higher aspect of you is vibrating right now, is currently existing, formless in those dimensions. And as you evolve, that version of you is able to expand and evolve more. Why? Because you're all connected to, all of you are connected at once, meaning your higher self can only evolve as much as you evolve. Like you can't, you're not separate from each other. Does that make sense? So always remember that. Be in touch with the fact that we're constantly in multiple realities at the same time. And if you don't fully grasp it, don't worry. These transmissions, these words I'm giving you, they're activations and they're activating your dormant DNA,
Hmm.
and you'll just get it. You don't have to sit and absorb it and read it every day. It just activates within you.
Yeah, exactly. So what Eldora was explaining is that we exist in all the 9 dimensions
He just
at
drew that, by
once.
the
I
way, right
just drew
now.
that, and
That's
while she
nice.
was talking, I didn't even know she was talking about this, and it happened to be what she was talking about. So this basically explains how humanity is in 3D on Earth. Below Earth is the second dimension. This is the telluric realm. This is where lower dimensional beings reside. Not all always negative. There's negative and positive in the second dimension. But let's say if you have gut bacteria, that gut bacteria is the second is a second dimensional life form. So you can already see the relationship between you and a 2D life form living within you. 2D life forms are limited life forms. They don't have consciousness. They don't have God's source running through them, like earthworms, all of these telluric beings that are underground. These are all simple life forms. Then we go lower into 1D. 1D is like the metallic iron core of Earth. It's like the very sacred core of Earth. And the first dimension is actually very important because the first dimension is actually the where the halls of Amenti reside. The halls of Amenti are the perfected template of Earth and humanity. So the Hall of Amenti are many things. They are the architecture of perfected Earth, but they are also a library. You can think of it as a multidimensional library that contains the memory of every single thing that has occurred on this planet. So when we send our grounding cord, if you recognize this dot, this is a diagram of your grounding cord. And this grounding cord extends from 1D and it connects our root chakra to the first dimension. So when we say someone is ungrounded, what it really means is that they're not in their body. Their spirit leaves their body. Like, for example, if you're on the laptop for a very long time and you're working, you'll realize that suddenly you're becoming forgetful, you're becoming foggy. Why is that? Because your spirit can leave your body during times of extensive work and extensive concentration because your mind kicks in. So your mind is fully in charge at that time and your spirit is hovering above you. So that's why we say it's important to be grounded. So in those cases, when you're feeling like out of your body and phased out, you send your grounding cord and you connect with the first dimension. The first dimension contains the blueprints of your soul on earth. It's like when you decide to incarnate on earth also has to extend a handshake to receive your soul, and that handshake is your grounding cord. It connects you to your root chakra, which is how your body materializes. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, you see how they materialize from a phone booth into the matrix. Similarly, the example is that of the root chakra. Through the root chakra, our bodies materialize in the third dimension. Do you understand? That's why they say root chakra is the basis of all existence in the third dimension. So our grounding cord connects us with the center of the earth, and then the same pillar of light runs through the central column. It connects through our root chakra, through all our 7 chakras. We have a lot more chakras than 7, but the central column goes through the root chakra to the top of our head. And the central column is a very important piece of our light body anatomy, because this central column not only connects all of our 7 chakras together, but it also connects us through our antakarana. So the antakarana is the continuation of the central column, and this part of the column is called the antakarana, from the crown all the way to the galactic center. So pretty much this is what it means that we are multidimensional beings, because through this central column we can connect with the mind of God, which is 9D, the realms of light, the realms of sound, the realms of sacred geometry, the realms of unity consciousness, the realms of thought forms, which is 4D, into the physical realm, and all the way down to 1D.
And don't worry if for any of you this is too much. This is very, very important in your curriculum to understand this. And basically, don't worry if you don't get it all. Siman is actually going to go dimension by dimension. We're going to go really slow. Even if it's like an hour and a half video, you can come back, watch it every few months, because this is going to activate you. So let's actually go dimension by dimension.
Yeah,
because it gets
exactly.
very exciting, guys. After 5D, like to talk about 6D and its purpose, 7D and its purpose, 8D and its purpose. It's fascinating.
Exactly. Now comes the interesting part. Just above the third dimension. So we've briefly covered the first dimension through the third dimension. But above the third dimension is canopy of light. It's like, think of it like a container of all of the collective thought forms and all of the collective emotions of humanity are in a ball. And this etheric ball is just energy. It's just clouds. And it's just clouds of energy that surround the whole planet. But these clouds are not like visible clouds to the naked eye. These clouds are etheric clouds, meaning they vibrate in the fourth dimension. So they're made of ether. They're made of spirit form. They're not made of physical matter. So you can think of each dimension as the same particles of energy vibrating at 1 octave higher. So you know how there's like keys in the piano and you hit a C in 1 octave, but then you can go 8 notes higher, then you can hit a higher C note. So the first C note, imagine, is the third dimension where we are physical. So in the third dimension, our particles are vibrating like this. But let's say we go make them vibrate faster. Suddenly, if we're vibrating too fast, you'll become invisible and you'll suddenly disappear into the fourth dimension. And the fourth dimension is not physically visible to our naked human eyes, but they are visible to the third eye, because our third eye actually vibrates in the sixth dimension.
And also on that note, you know how in school and we're taught that we can the colors of the rainbow are Vibgyor, which is violet, indigo, blue, whatever, green, Vibgyor, yellow, orange, red. Vibgyor, these colors are the colors that we can see through our naked eye when we are vibrating 3D. But as we vibrate higher and go into more 5D frequencies emanating out of us, we start perceiving more than just Vibgyor. So we start perceiving new psychic abilities. New information comes to us. So we can all be in the same room, but if somebody is vibrating 3D, they'll see the French fries, they'll see the hamburgers, they'll see all of that because that's their point of focus. They'll see the girls with the low cleavages. That's where their point of focus is, in the sport bars and everything. And then someone else in 5D in the exact same frequency can start looking around and see, oh my god, there's a pocket of dense bad energy, negative energy.
Mm.
There's a psychic attack happening. Oh, there's like there's something going on with that. Like the psychic abilities when you're in 5D are more enhanced. But we'll go into
That's such a good example you just raised, because it just helped me realize that in 3D, you know how guys are always like hunting for women who give off sexual vibes? But in 5D, like I can give my example because I experience this all the time. I've mastered my sexual impulses. So when I see like a woman throwing off bad vibes, like sexual vibes, trying to attract attention, to me it's like, holy shit, that's trouble, because I'm looking at her 5D light body and I'm seeing, okay, she's not in balance. Her emotions are needy and insecure. So to someone like Eldora mentioned a very good point of how we're all walking the same 3D plane but with different dimensional lenses. So, to what is treasure to someone is like trouble to someone else. It all depends on your dimensional glasses, how you navigate the third dimension of existence.
And that is why raising your vibration is really your top focus in life, because as you raise your vibration and start vibrating higher, your entire reality shifts. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
You're more joyful, more healthy, more abundant, more free, more sure of yourself, more confident, more in love. Everything just works out. So that's why everything we talk about is to raise your vibration.
Exactly. And you know how Eldora was describing that in 3D, your incorrect posture and all of these things can show up very quickly? It's because your spirit, which is vibrating at an octave higher than your physical body, your spirit, if your soul has any imperfections, like let's say as a soul you've had many lifetimes where you were just spending too much money and you could not master manifestation and abundance, and you never had any savings in your accounts, so you came to earth and you tried to master these lessons of finances. Your physical body will reflect your imbalances right away. So let's say money and finances causes stress. It's going to show up as wrinkles in your face. Let's say if you carry a lot of anger, it's going to show up as a problem in your liver. Let's say you
have an eating imbalance.
Yeah, it's going to be digestive issues because you have addictions. So whatever imbalances are vibrating in the fourth dimension in your soul level are, it's like as above so below. It's going to show up right away in your physical reality. So when we manifest any disease, it's because there's an imbalance in our soul. And this once that's what shamans and medicine people, all the ancient our ancestors and the wise ones, they have been teaching us that when we correct our soul imbalances, we won't have any physical imbalances. We'll be healthy people.
And that's another reason why many of you are healers in our soul family. When you go to a doctor, a 3D doctor, what do? They put a band-aid solution on you. They look at your body, they say, okay, that's the problem, fine, give him antibiotics, give him this, put him on sedatives, whatever.
Right.
When you go to an energy healer, what do? We look at your light body. We look at your emotional body. We say, okay, that's what's causing it. This chakra is blocked. And because this root chakra is blocked, because this girl has, issue in her foundation. She has issues with trusting other people. She has issues with feeling safe on earth. Because of that, she's attracting all of this. So instead of giving you medicine and antibiotics and anesthesia or sending you away to the hospital, we'll go right to your root chakra and say, this is what needs to be healed to heal this illness, which is why spiritual people, most of us, we never, ever, ever, ever take any medicine. And even if we do, it's the one odd time a year. Whereas when you're in 3D,
Exactly.
you're constantly stuffing medicine. So this goes really, really deep, guys. And we'll go into all of this a lot in future transmissions, but we want to stay true to the 9 dimensions because we have so much to cover and we're bursting to share it with all of you. How's
Exactly.
everyone feeling? Good?
Genetic diseases. Well, your genetic diseases are basically DNA is the blueprint of the soul. So genetic DNA disease imbalance of the soul.
Right.
There's no disconnection between genetic disease and your soul. Your soul expresses itself in this dimension through DNA. And it's actually, scientists have found that DNA strands are filaments of light that project our holographic reality. So think of DNA filaments as a reflection of what your soul is trying to express in this dimension. So in the fourth dimension, there's negative beings and there's positive beings.
So you don't want to go into dimension one first?
Those ones I covered very quickly
I'm going to
because
really recap dimension 1 to 4 because before he goes off with 4. So just touch on 1. So the
Sure.
first dimension
So
is
we
the
can
core, like
recap.
just super free flow.
Yeah.
So the first dimension is the core of planet Earth, the center point, the absolute core. Yes.
So the first dimension is the core of planet Earth, the iron core, which contains the infinite possibilities of all that is. Nothing is manifest in the first dimension, but everything is a possibility. And surprisingly, the first dimension also connects directly to the ninth dimension. So, in essence, you can say if the ninth dimension of this galaxy is a black hole, that black hole exists as a point within the first dimension. So the black hole at the ninth dimension is also affecting our reality and actually generating our reality. Then comes the second dimension, which is the telluric realm, which is lower life forms. There's some negative beings here. There's some positive beings here.
So it's everything. 2D is everything from the core of planet Earth to the crust of planet Earth.
Exactly.
So the core is 1D. Everything from the core of planet Earth to the surface, the crust of planet Earth underground is 2D.
Right. And also in 2D, all this spirits of Earth, like when we say there's a spirit of the mountains, there's a spirit of the river, there's a spirit of this land, there's spirits of the country. All of these are telluric beings. They're under inner Earth beings, and they vibrate in the second dimension. They're higher dimensional beings, but they occupy this space in order to exist within Earth.
Go and tell them how the jab disconnects you. So one of the most important things that most humans are not aware of, because the matrix, the cabal, the negative ones systematically disconnect. You're going off camera.
Oh.
Systematically disconnect us from 2D. They systematically disconnect us from the higher dimensions. What's very important to know is that for us to be healthy, our bodies have to be in perfect resonance with the second dimension, with the 2D frequencies, which is why when we're on Earth, we can't be too up and spacey. We have to be connected to Earth. We have to walk barefoot on the Earth. And a lot of our autonomous body, like our autonomous body processes are things that we don't think of, like breathing, swallowing. Anything that's just naturally happening is in full harmony with the harmonic frequencies of 2D. So many people think, oh, 2D is not important. We just want to go to 5D. But 2D is important because everything is connected. And you know what? Recently, we got to know that the jab is meant to disconnect you from 2D. It's meant to put you out of resonance with Earth, with the 2D frequencies of Earth.
Because our blood is two-dimensional.
Right.
Our blood is from the second dimension. So what the jab did was actually hijack our blood. So blood is what connects your body to the telluric realm. And your body is also connected to the second D telluric realm in many ways, because our body hosts billions, hundreds of billions of microbial life forms. And all of these microbial life forms are 2D consciousness. We're actually an orchestra, like a whole culture of living beings. We're not just one living being. We experience our consciousness as one living being, but we're actually a co-creation or a harmony of hundreds of billions of small creatures, and all of these have their own consciousness. So you see
You're an
how
ecosystem, basically.
how dimensions are layered literally one on top of another. Like inside our body there are two dimensional beings. Our actual surface body is the third dimension where we sense the third dimension. Then our etheric body, suddenly we jump to the fourth dimension, a higher octave. And so we've recapped the first dimension all the way to the third dimension.
No, we have to do third now.
No, third I went into a lot of detail.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear more about the third? Okay.
I've
So
actually
just to
tracked
fine.
the
You
third dimension.
covered
We
third? Okay.
actually did a lot.
They're saying yes, but sure.
She's keeping me on track. If you want to know more about the third dimension, just look out the door.
See, everyone's saying yes. So
Oh my
I
God.
think just touch on
Okay,
3D real quick.
We'll cover more of the third dimension.
He
Okay.
was going to jump to fourth dimension. Oh, someone's saying go to fourth. Okay.
I'm being conscious of time because our guides, before they started us, they said you're going to be at the 90-minute point and you'll have 4 dimensions left to explain. So I'm being a bit like structured about it.
So third dimension, you guys know what it is. It's this physical realm on earth where we are coming down, we're incarnating in physical body, we're going through all of our trauma healing, we have physicality, we're in physical flesh and blood on 3D, and we don't want to go too detailed, so we'll jump to 4D.
Yeah, but we have covered a lot of details.
Perfect. And yeah.
So 4D. Okay, we were already in the 4D. So 4D is like one octave higher than the third dimension. And in the fourth dimension, we have the mass thought forms. And what happens in the fourth dimension is there's negative beings in the fourth dimension and there's positive beings. So an example of a positive being in the fourth dimension would be a disincarnate spirit, like some soul that has left their body, but they haven't quite jumped to the afterlife. They're kind of like lingering around and playing around. So what happens is that sometimes these disincarnate spirits, let's say somebody had some cravings, like somebody had a craving for food and they didn't get to fulfill, they were starved in this lifetime. So what they might do as a disincarnate spirit that are not very evolved, they can look for a victim who is in a third dimensional body. And to target a victim, they usually look for people who are really not that embodied. They look for people who are like looking lost. Their spirit is like hovering above their head. Or if you've had any major traumas, then your spirit is not fully in your body and you're very like weak, like your energy field is very weak. These kind of people are ripe targets for these negative 4D astral beings. Because when your spirit is weak and when your electromagnetic frequency, instead of vibrating like a beautiful sphere, is vibrating more like a little shriveled up raisin, then what happens is that gives the room for these fourth dimensional entities to occupy your body, because then you're becoming like an easy target. And through you, they can carry out all their cravings. They can carry out a craving for sex or for food or for any addiction.
Yes, I love that. And guys, this is so important to understand because we go into this in detail in our psychic protection course. And I'm being guided to actually touch on the foundations again. 4D beings are positive and negative beings. So all of these, when we say dark entities, a lot of the dark entities reside in the fourth dimension. So just absorb that. Many people get really scared. Oh my God, dark beings, dark entities. Oh my God, what are they going to do? And most people feel helpless when it comes to these fourth dimensional beings. It's very important to remember that these fourth dimensional beings are not powerful. They are not at all powerful. They're just simple troublemakers. And all they want, because remember, these 4D dimension, the fourth dimension beings that are negatively polarized, so these are the dark entities, why are they dark? Why are they negative? Why are they called negative beings? Because they have cut themselves off from God's source. You and I, we are dependent on light, on the light of the sun, God's source, prana, chi energy for our sustenance, right? These dark entities are in 4D, and their biggest frustration is that they cannot create or experience like you and I can in the third dimension. So, what they do is they linger around you, especially if you are weak, you have no boundaries, you're overweight, you're eating like egoic eating all the time. They feast on you because these 4D dimension beings, fourth dimensional dark beings, are invisible. So they will, if you're heavily into drugs, they will feast around you. They have, you guys have heard of loosh energy, LOOSH energy. What these fourth dimensional dark entities, these beings do is that they need some energy to survive. And since they are cut off from God energy, what they do is they linger around you and they're like trying to create a fight. They're the ones who will,
They come in arguments
like, let's
specifically.
say you're about to, you're standing, you're really, really depressed and you're standing in front of a cliff to jump. A divine energy will never say go jump, but this energy will say jump, jump. The same way, if you're standing in front of a French fry stand, this energy will go eat, eat. It's only one day. So it's that little whisper that you get, that
Hmm.
little whisper.
Those whispers are the disincarnate beings, and
Exactly.
they're all kinds of
And
beings.
always remember that you have full power over these beings, because all you have to do is say, whoa, wait a second, I'm in charge now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Instead of floating above my head,
You have to bring your spirit fully into your body, and a good exercise for that is actually called wearing your body, where you're envisioning like your soul is like a ball of light above your head, and then you just close your eyes, you make yourself calm and still, and you bring that light of your soul into your head, and you wear your body with the
like a
light.
glove, and you take it
So
down to
you're
your feet.
filling up your fingers, you're filling up your feet, you're filling
Mm,
up every single molecule and particle of your body.
yes.
And when you do this on a regular basis, you'll actually feel more embodied. If you pay attention to while doing this exercise, you might realize that your leg is completely hollow of your spirit. Like you might have had a trauma that's stored in your leg and your spirit doesn't reside there. So you have to fill up your body with all this light.
And also, that is why we say that to become a spiritual being, you also have to, we're all spiritual beings, but to get on the right path of mastery, we have to be able to distinguish between these voices. Is it your higher self's
Exactly.
guidance, or is it these entities whispering in you? And how do you know? The entities will always push you towards doing something that does not feel good, that does not work. It's not in your highest best. It'll always be like, it's okay, just go, it's fine, just go to the club one day and pick up a girl, it's okay, just sleep with her even though you don't love her. The entity will want to fulfill their desires through you, because you're in 3D and the entity wants to have this experience through you. That's why we hear of possessions, we hear of psychic attacks. Divine guidance will be the same kind of whisper, but its resonance, its feeling sensors will be completely opposite. It'll be uplifting. It won't be pushy. It'll never be pushy. It'll always be connecting you to your divine mission. It'll always connect you to your joy, to your expansion, to your love. It'll never guilt you and say, shame on you. Never. Your divine guidance, your higher self, will never speak to you the way you speak to yourself. Your higher self will always speak to you with a lot of love. So, 4D is an important realm to be aware of, because 4D is also the realm of the collective hive mind, if you want to get into that.
Yeah, exactly. So, one example of the collective mind of humanity is that when an idea for an invention comes in, how does an idea for an invention come in? Let's say, take the example of the airplane and the Wright brothers. Actually, the Wright brothers were not the first one to invent the airplane. Around the time the Wright brothers invented the airplane, two other inventors invented it within, I mean, human flight was invented three times within a very short span of time in the 1800s. So the way that works is why do multiple people on Earth get the same idea for an invention at the same time? Because the ideas are coming from the fourth dimension right above our head. And what happens is that in ninth dimension is the mind of source. The mind of source, which is the origin of all creation, says, okay, humanity has progressed so far. Now let's see if we introduce flight, if we introduce airplanes into the mix, then how does their evolution progress? Will they use it to kill each other with air fights, or will they use it for progression? So the 90 center is completely devoid of any influence. It doesn't tell us do this or do that. It just gives us the idea. and we're supposed to carry out the experiment. So another way of saying is that the 3D is the experimental domain of 9D. Whatever ideas, think of this like the laboratory. Here all the ideas are generated in the mind of source, and then they're propagated down through all the dimensions until they come to the fourth dimension. In the fourth dimension, above the fourth dimension, all the realms of our unity consciousness, meaning above 4D, there's no duality. But once a thought form comes into the fourth dimension, it has an opportunity to split this way or that way.
So let's stop there and explain that again.
Yeah.
So when as God energy, source energy trickles down, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to convey energy from 9D down in 3D. How it comes down is what Siman is explaining, and I just want to make sure you guys get it, because 9D is source. It's the energy of our create. It's the dimension. It's the realm of God. Then it comes down to 8, which is sound or light.
No,
sound,
light.
Then so basically it propagates down. That information propagates down in instructions as light. Then it comes down to 7D, which is sound. Then it comes down to 6D, which is sacred geometry, which we'll touch on. Then it comes down to 5D. And so, in other words, if God issues a command saying there will be no war, if this being called God or source or creator, this
creator being of all that is,
if
that's
this
what we call
being
God,
says, hey, this experiment is going wrong, there will be no war. It's called the voice of God, a command of God. If a command of God is issued from 9D, Siman is talking about how it permeates through the dimensions and reaches us, and then how it translates in our reality as the time of the Cabal is up. Exactly. The age of Aquarius is on us. The age of Pisces is behind us. All of this are connected.
Yeah, and we'll go into that example as well. So basically, let's say I'm going to come back. I'm going to ditch the airplane example and use the one Eldora gave because that's more interesting. So let's say in 9D, source, which is the source of all creation, source issues a command that there will be no more duality on planet Earth, which means Earth has had enough suffering and hardships, and now we no longer need to learn through pain and suffering. Therefore, anyone who is not aligned with service to the collective must exit the third dimensional plane. So how does that work? So God sends this commandment, source sends this commandment to the 8th dimension. The 8th dimension is a realm of pure, perfected light. The 8th dimension is the first octave. If source is like void,
don't go off camera.
Yeah.
I'm trying to off camera. Here, come to the left.
Yeah, I'm trying to fit everything.
Perfect.
So if 9D is the void, if 9D is the void, then the 8th dimension is light. So you know how in the Bible says, let there be light? So the first realm that was created was a realm of pure light, of infinite possibilities. And this is not the light that you see from your lamp. This is pure divine light of a very high frequency. This is diamond frequency light. String theory actually explains that light has different speeds. So in the first to third dimension, light has the speed of about 186,282.3959 miles per second. I memorized that as a child because I was a geek. And then the fourth dimension to the sixth dimension, light has a higher speed. And from the seventh to the ninth dimension, light has a higher speed. So you see, light is also going up in octaves. In the higher dimensions, in the angelic realm, angels are not made of your light that is photons from your lamp. Angels are made of a very pure frequency of light, which is perfected light. So the commandment of God becomes perfected blueprint, that this is how this commandment should carry out. In the seventh dimension is the realm of sound. It's the pure sound frequencies of source. So in the sound frequencies, that commandment becomes the word of God. You know how in the Bible it said that, what was it? It was something about the word. Everything emanated from a word. So I'm not going to quote the Bible because I don't remember. But everything sorry, my notebook just messed up. So everything emitted from a single word.
Mm.
So in the seventh dimension, the word was the sound that was emanated first to create everything was Om. And
Mm.
Om created, we're going to go through that more when we discuss the seventh dimension, but Om created all of existence. The physical dimensions are from the seventh dimension down to the um, all the way to the first dimension. So in the seventh dimension, that light blueprint becomes the command of God or the word of God. Then the word of God translates. So we're talking about the example where source decrees that there's no more duality on planet Earth. So we've discussed how it goes down from the 9D to 8D to 7D. Now, when it comes to 6D, from the seventh dimension, the word of God instructs the sixth dimension on how to create the template of what is to be carried out. Because the sixth dimension is all about the blueprints or the templates of creation. For example, your Markaba light body is vibrating in the sixth dimension. So, in other words, those who are fully activated in their Markaba light body are vibrating in 6D consciousness. So 60 is kind of like in 60, that command will translate to something like the blueprint of new earth or the blueprint of perfected earth will be created in the sixth dimension. Now, from the sixth dimension, it'll come into the fifth dimension. And in the fifth dimension, what happens? So on Earth, there's 3D consciousness, 4D consciousness, and 5D consciousness. There are people like us who are vibrating in 5D consciousness. There are a few of us, and they're growing in numbers day by day. But when you've reached 5D consciousness, when you've reached unity consciousness, you can pick up the commandments of God. You can pick up the commandments of Source directly because you can only reach the fifth dimension if you're vibrating in unity consciousness. And unity consciousness really means I align my will with divine will. When you say I align my will with divine will, you're really saying in the third dimension, I'm fully coordinated with the ninth dimension. Isn't that deep? So take that in. When I say I align my will with divine will, I'm essentially saying is in the third dimension, I'm fully aligned with the galactic center.
Mm.
So when a commandment to create new earth comes from the galactic center, and I can see that all these blueprints and templates for new earth are ready in the sixth dimension because I can see all dimensions. And then I can see that as a fifth dimensional master, this is my job. I can see I'm not supposed to go to my 9 to 5 at McDonald's. I'm supposed to do this. That's
So you
why.
have full clarity.
Yeah, exactly. Then when we're fully aligned with our vertical axis, that's when we really realize what we came here to do. It's only that we've been distorted and cut off from everything above the fourth dimension that we don't know what to do. So as a fifth dimensional master, I'm like rolling up my sleeves. I'm like, holy shit, we have a big task ahead of us. Let's do the New Earth Music Festival. Let's launch a mystery school.
And that is why it's so easy for us to create. Like when we, Saman and I, really, when we look at ourselves from our human minds, we're blown. Like our minds are blown fucked. We're like, how the hell are we doing so
Blown
much?
fucked.
Blown fucked. We're like, how the hell, like, are we doing so much? You know why we're able to do so much? Because when you start accessing 5D consciousness, 5D consciousness really means that your markabas are healed, your markabas are active. Now remember, and let's rewind a bit. Your physical body is vibrating at a certain frequency. Let's say your physical body is vibrating in the 3D. Now your emotional body, so your physical body, think of your physical body literally as, like, let's say that's your physical body. Your emotional body is another body that's vibrating at its own frequency, that's around. It's just about a little bit.
Here.
Oh, perfect.
So 3D, 4D, which is
I don't
sorry.
need that right now.
Okay, fine.
And then your mental body is vibrating at a different octave, even higher. Now remember, your Markaba light body is vibrating in 60. Your Markaba, so your physical body is vibrating in 3D, your Markaba light body is vibrating in 60. Now tell them how the Markaba, healing the
Yeah,
Markaba, like how are they connected?
right.
It's so important. It'll just blow your mind when you realize how you can work with your Markaba. Now, before you do that, also remember there's a lot of people who have kind of just started healing their Markaba. They've just started activating their Markaba because we've actually held a very, very, very powerful event called the 222 event. Was that the one Merlin
Yeah.
came in? No.
No, that was the Markaba.
If
It
you go
was
on our
serious.
if you go on our website, Eldora and Siman.love, there's an event called 222. It was a 2-day event, one of the most powerful events we've ever facilitated. We had the higher realms come through very powerfully as always. And what we did was we taught you guys about the Markaba in lecture style slides, and then we
We
healed.
activated the
We
Markaba.
literally healed the Markaba through the help of our guides and angels, of course. And then we activated the Markaba. Now, why is this so important? And how is it all connected? 6D, 3D, it's all interconnected. So now you've already seen how your physical body is being controlled by, oh, this is another point. If you're vibrating 3D, you can't really go up to 5D till you clear the clutter of the 4D. You want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. I want to go
Super
finish
important.
the
Yeah,
4D and then we'll
perfect.
go line by
Perfect.
line
I
to the
love that.
dimensions. So, coming back to the explanation of the Wright brothers and airplane, turns out I need that example all along. So, the Wright brothers are back in the seat. Okay, so let's say the galactic center or source says, let there be flight and let humanity discover airplanes or propulsion technology. This idea comes up to here. In the fourth dimension, until the fifth dimension, it holds its perfected frequency. But what's happened on Earth is that because of corrupted elements, because of corrupted negative higher dimensional beings that are very advanced in their technology, what they have done is they had what they not have done, they had done, and this has been reversed now. They had created a canopy above Earth that cut us off from every dimension above 4D. So if a directive came from the center, it would get corrupted into a negative teaching. That's why all the religions are corrupted, because in 4D these beings intercept the messages and they corrupt them and then they feed them to humanity. So in this example, what would happen if the galactic center gave the command to create an airplane? It would come up to 5D and it would be perfect. But when it goes to 4D, it becomes corrupted because humanity is corrupted. Humanity is polarized. If humanity was all following their divine will, if they were all fully aligned with the galactic center with their vertical axis, they would not accept anything that's negative. But because we accept it, these 4D beings can send it. If they always need a human to carry out their will. So in this case, the airplane technology can be used in a negative sense or it can be used in a positive sense. In the negative sense, it's used for war and for fighting and all these things. And in the positive sense, it helps humanity get connected and travel much faster and progress society at a much accelerated pace. So same goes for the atom bomb. When the atom bomb was invented, the atom bomb was not the invention. The splitting of the atom, which is a neutral idea. So the galactic center doesn't say, here are the instructions to create a device of destruction. They'll always give us a neutral idea. They'll say, here's the instruction to split the atom. It's up to humanity what to do once we know how to split the atom. Either we create it as a destructive force or we use it as a positive force to create free energy. We could have used the same idea for many different purposes. So that's what I wanted to explain about the fourth dimension, that religions, all of these mainstream institutions, corporations, media, Hollywood, all of these institutions are basically bombarding us with control frequencies. When we're watching the television, when we're watching all this programming, what we're essentially doing is cutting ourselves off from feeling and thinking. So we no longer can distinguish that this is my idea or this is somebody else's idea. Do you ever see a baby who's just born and says, hey, can I have a Coca-Cola? No, that happens after lots of brainwashing.
And
Because
exactly. And there's so much corruption on planet Earth, which is what we're awakening to. What is awakening really? You're awakening to your divine heritage. You're awakening to, holy shit, I'm actually in a frequency controlled domain where artificial frequencies are being bombarded to me day in and day night. And if I don't work on having my superfoods, if I don't work on activating my DNA actually by going to healing retreats, by going on these spiritual retreats, by working on myself, getting healings, working on my triggers, working on my physical body, being an avid student of the ascension and spirituality, if I'm not doing all of that, what am I doing? I'm eating the french fries, I'm watching porn all day, I'm smoking weed all day, I'm drinking all day, I'm going to nightclubs to be picked up by boys, or vice versa. It's like a completely different, and or I'm depressed because I just spent $40,000 on a dream wedding. Because what has the matrix done? It has convinced us and brainwashed us that a diamond on your finger is an indication of love. The matrix has completely convinced all of us that all the good things for us, for example, sex, sexuality, sacred sexuality, divine partnership. What has the matrix done? It has bombarded the 4D. 4D is where all of this confusion and chaos takes place. So let's say you're in 3D. 4D is a realm that you have to pass to get to 5D. And what that means is to understand what part of it is the brainwashing, and
Exactly.
and completely step out of all of that brainwashing to finally say, holy shit, till today, my ship, my vessel, my body was completely being operated by a fourth dimensional force, being, entity, whatever you call it. And right now, I'm back in control. Holy shit, I'm back as the captain of my ship. I know exactly what I'm doing with my body. I will give it good food, good air, good rest, good meditation, good breaks. I'll keep myself in balance. I will make my ascension my top priority. I will invest in my ascension. I won't cheap out on it. Why? So all of this is going to help you. Another thing, what's another very important thing to move out of 4D and go move out of 3D and go to 5D? How are you going to realize if your mind is super, 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 super busy all the time? Your children are screaming in the house, you're fighting with your husband, you're not happy, you're just in this horrible state. How are you going to go and access 5D? You can't even realize what thoughts are yours, what thoughts are these 4D entities. And then your guides are like so lovingly whispering to you, quit that 3D job, it doesn't serve you. Quit this narcissistic relationship. There's so much that awaits you. They're not going to say it in these words, but they're going to push you towards your higher good. And they'll never say, stay with this narcissistic husband because you have to take care of him or because someone will laugh at you. You can't even hear their guidance. So many of you say, we don't have guidance, we don't have guidance. You know why that is? You're still in 3D. When I say 3D, you're in the 3D, in the third dimension, and you're not able to separate your thoughts from the divine guidance. You're not able to. So to access 5D, a certain steps are required. Meditating daily, going in nature and clearing the brain fog. Why? Because when you go in nature, the aura of the trees suck out, they basically merge with your aura and they cleanse your aura. And even in our healings, we've given many, many, many free healings on our YouTube. Anytime you feel very constricted, go back and do some of our healings. Or if you're a part of our mystery school, we're going to be doing healings every single month. You can sign up on Eldora and Siman.love. This is something we're doing, this whole mystery school as a tool to help you with the enormity of the ascension. And I repeat, our main intention of the New Earth Mystery School is to help starseeds and light workers handle the enormity of the energies coming into planet Earth so that we may ride these waves with ease and grace without getting fried and without drowning in them. And we're literally giving you this ascension roadmap.
Yeah, that's very
Oh, you want to
important.
talk about how altars. So, one of the things I do want to
That's
touch
in the
on.
60.
Okay, you're not there yet?
No,
We're
we're
going kind
just
of all
finishing.
over.
Yeah,
So,
kind of weaving, but I'm
yeah,
still progressing from 4D to 5D.
perfect. Perfect.
In each dimension, I kind of connect them
I
to all the other
love that. I think
dimensions.
we're doing
Yeah,
fantastic
we're
so far.
doing great.
This is
Even
a
if it goes to 2 hours, we'll make it a
this
reference
is a
video.
complex topic. So we're
This is a very
really, it's
complex
not like,
topic to
I
understand
love it.
and explain.
Yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, just to give you the keys, how we gave you the keys, how to unlock yourself out of each dimension. In the third dimension, if you recall, it was the keys to unlock yourself out of the matrix, which is do not be influenced by the negative forces of fourth dimension. And what are the negative forces of fourth dimension? You can think of it as negative beings who we call the cabal or the elite. they're always influencing us, and they're influencing our choices by very subtle brainwashing. And most of this brainwashing is done through television and media. So the first thing that we recommend to unlock yourself out of the matrix of the fourth dimension is to switch off your TV. And the second biggest advice we can give you is to clean up your bodies. So cleaning up your body is you cleaning up the third dimension, and switching off the TV is you cleaning up the sphere around your body, which is all the negative thought forms, junk, advertising influences that are constantly surrounding you. And when you start to meditate, when you start to clear your aura, when you set your daily practice, when you make intention to declutter your life and to make your life as simple as possible, when you take the time to organize your house and get rid of clutter, when you make the conscious choice to eat clean, eat fresh vegetables, organic foods, drink lots of clean, pure water, you're flushing out your system of all these negative impulses that are really polluting your mind, body, and soul. And these negative influences are cutting you off from the higher dimensions. So we highly recommend, in order to go past the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension, that you create daily practice of meditation to silence your mind, because the next dimension above the fourth dimension is the fifth dimension, and that is the realm of unity consciousness. So the fifth dimension, you can think of it as one octave higher than your emotions, than your thoughts, than all of this mental clutter that surrounds our planet.
I feel very guided to reply to this person. Sorry to interrupt. So somebody just said, what if somebody was under the black magic influence, as if your soul was controlled with the help of demons, entities? How do you release yourself from these entities who've intruded in your body? So I have some really good news for you. We have a psychic protection course that was
We explain
launched.
this in detail in the course.
It was launched for $555 that we later offered it for $222. And until September 1st, this is gold material, you guys. This was a course we recorded 2 years ago. It is actually available for free if you become a member of the mystery school. And this person's example is very extreme, saying, what if I'm psychically possessed, which happens to all light workers at some point. It could happen to anyone. But it's also talking about how do you handle psychic attacks when you suddenly get angry, when somebody around you is constantly angry. So this psychic protection course is like the basics. It's the 101 on your journey. It is the basic, and yet it is so profound. So go to EldoraandSiman.love. If you become a silver member, I believe before September 1st, if you become a silver member paying $44, you get the psychic protection course for free. And if you pay $88 and become a gold member, I believe you get the psychic protection for free before September 1st and the cord cutting. Guys, these are the most valuable courses we have ever done. And we are giving this to you for free because we have only one intention. We need you guys to do these two things before we move along in your curriculum, because you won't be given more curriculum until you do the basics. So
yeah, those who
highly recommend.
Those who succeed in the mystery school have to do the fundamentals. We are going to be exploring a wide variety of topics over the coming years, and we want to make sure that if you are an avid student, you're not just jumping ahead, jumping ahead, jumping ahead. These are not like medals or badges we're giving you. You really need to go back and make sure you fully understand everything, and not only that, fully practice it in your daily lives, because that's what makes the difference. We live as masters because we practice what we preach. We have these daily practices where we activate our Markaba, we are sending these commandments. So this is what connects us to all the higher dimensions. So as we were discussing, in the fifth dimension, we can only reach the fifth dimension when we're in silence, when we're completely void of all this clutter. And to get rid of the clutter, we have to realize that in the fourth dimension, we have to move past all these distractions. We have to learn how to discern between the good and the bad. And we have to really understand that we're moving towards our higher self. And that journey is a very sacred journey. This is the very purpose of our existence. So when we clear our minds and we move into a higher consciousness, when we're slowly beginning to move past the mental fog of the fourth dimension, we come into clarity. we come into a state of samadhi. And that state of samadhi, samadhi also really means God consciousness. We reach God consciousness in the fifth dimension. And what that really means is the fifth dimension is a realm of unity consciousness. It's the hive mind, and it can only be reached from the heart. For those who have activated the heart, um,
It's way easier to access the fifth dimension.
how do you know if your heart is active? Because
Okay, I'll tell you.
I pose a question to you. Many people here think they've activated their hearts, but they haven't. How do they distinguish
That's
that?
a phenomenal question. So one of the things we find is that, come to the left so you don't get cut off. One of the things we find is that those who follow us or our channels, I just find that the majority of people who are our diehard fans, supporters, guardians, whatever you want to call it, are already in their heart. And why is that? The heart frequency is a force. It's a very powerful frequency that cuts through all the bullshit in your DNA. The heart frequency is absolutely ridiculously disgusting to the ego. So let's say Siman and I are in a group full of spiritual egos. We'll actually make another video on spiritual egos. It's coming. I was told that message today again. If we're in the room of spiritual egos, these spiritual egos cannot stand us. They cannot stand us. They're triggered as fuck in our presence. Why is that? The heart frequency is a frequency of authenticity. It's a frequency of no bullshit. It's a frequency where we don't have to hide and put on images and try to act all spiritual and look all spiritual. We can just wear gangster t-shirts and be the most spiritual people on the planet. The heart, what else can we say about the heart frequency? Oh, this is
Actually,
what
it's
this
also being authentic, because I find
I
many
said
people,
authenticity.
no, many people will be judging you, but they're not going to be telling you. So they're not in their heart if they're not expressing what's within them.
Authenticity is very important, but I'm getting another message as well. So for those of you who are, this is the guides channel, for those of you who are in your hearts, you feel into your guidance more than the people who are in their heads. What do the people in their heads do? The people in their heads are constantly looking, give me proof, give me proof. I want to watch another show by this somebody who can tell me about my, like, it's all about proof, proof, proof. They drive themselves crazy watching 25 YouTubers a month because they just want proof. They want proof. They drive themselves crazy. When you're in the heart, you just know and you just feel the frequency. It is unmistakable. It's so recognizable. And the heart is more peaceful. It's at peace. It's not driving you crazy. The mind will drive you crazy. The mind is not equipped to take you to the fifth dimension. Your ego
Exactly.
mind, your inverse matrix mind, is not capable to take you to the fifth dimension. Your heart is capable of taking you back home.
Exactly.
So the good news, though, is those who follow us are more, they have a propensity to be more in their heart, because we don't attract egos. Egos are repulsed by us. So the way I look at it is people have to master their ego before they can even sit in our classroom. We are teachers, master teachers, really, for people who are already in their heart. We are master teachers for people who are already in their integrity, in their reverence for their spiritual guides, because we are in reverence for our spiritual guides, and this is a part of your curriculum. So when we say have gratitude for your guides, including us, we are your earth guides. We're not trying to say, hey, give us respect. That's the last thing we're trying to do. We don't need your respect. You know what we're trying to do? We're giving you your curriculum, because having respect for your guides and your teachers is the highest form of reverence that you can possibly have, because the kind of information we are sharing with you, your guides are sharing with you, your guides are guiding you, is so, it's a blessing. It's the highest blessing of all blessings. So being in the heart includes all of this, but we're not going to go too much into that.
Exactly.
I can't wait to get to 60, 70, and 80 because it's so exciting. And I think everyone's like super excited. Any questions on 5D, or can we move on? Do you have more?
I just wanted to close 5D with this example. You know, when you said you were once in a vacation, but you were miserable, you were in 4D. But if you're on a vacation and you switch suddenly your radio frequency to gratitude, you suddenly come into 5D.
Yes.
It's the same vacation,
Yes.
but you're changing your emotional scale from like judging and being miserable,
complaining,
why am I here, to suddenly saying, oh my God, I'm on a 5-star vacation holiday. I'm blessed, and not everyone can afford this. If you start
Absolutely.
counting your blessings, you automatically shift into the fifth
You
dimension.
guys are so sweet. I've just been like, all your comments are just so loving, guys. So loving. Honestly, we have the best soul family on the entire fucking planet. And I really mean that. It's kind of like my ego. Like, I have a really nice soul family. Like, you guys are really, really amazing. And I cannot wait to see many of you in Croatia. I'm so freaking excited.
Right. So you
All
know how you
right.
mentioned altars?
Yeah. Oh,
Altars are the gateways to the sixth
yeah. Let's
dimension.
talk
So
about.
now we're going into the sixth
So
dimension.
before you go, you want to tell them real quick. So the Pleiadians are the keepers of 5D.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. The Pleiadians have mastered the fifth dimension. They are the keepers of the heart frequency of the 5D. Who are the keepers of 6D?
Syrians.
Yeah.
Right. So the Syrians, which are there's multiple races in the Sirius star system, but the Syrians, which are feline priests and priestesses from the star system Sirius B, hold the frequency of 6D in place for humanity. And what that really means is that they are the gatekeepers of the sixth dimension. So how we explained earlier in these dimensions, when a commandment comes into the sixth dimension, it is for Earth, it is intercepted by the Syrians because they hold the sixth dimensional frequency in place for Earth. So sixth dimension is the realm of sacred geometry. It's the realm of all of the blueprints and archetypes. So you know how in our world, like when we want to create a building, when we want to erect a building, we need to create a blueprint in the second dimension, which is paper. Second dimension is paper, 2 dimensions. So you create a blueprint in the second dimension, and then you erect a building based on that blueprint in the third dimension.
Yes.
If a line is off in the blueprint, what happens? That building is missing a window, or it's crooked, or it's missing a front door, or the backyard is in the front, right? So the blueprint has to be perfect for the creation to be perfect. The same way, the sixth dimension is the realm of perfected blueprints of every single object that exists on Earth. Okay?
Which is why our Markaba is in 60.
Yeah.
Because it's the perfected blueprint.
The Markaba vibrates in 6D. It's the perfected blueprint of the human light body. It basically is the template of Adam Kadmon. And what is Adam Kadmon? Adam Kadmon is the perfected human light body template where we have activated all of our 12 galactic chakra systems and we're connected with all 12 dimensions. So another thing that I forgot to mention is that our chakras also help us connect with the various dimensions. For example, our heart chakra connects us with unity consciousness. Then our throat chakra connects us with a higher octave. Then our third eye connects us with a higher octave. So we can perceive all the various dimensions through our chakras as well. Now, it's important to understand that in the sixth dimension, there's a template for every single object on Earth. If you have a couch in your living room, there's a template for that couch in the sixth dimension. Nothing in the third dimension in our world has ever been created without its blueprint. So what happens in the sixth dimension is that we have infinite possibilities, and those infinite possibilities, like we populate our world with all of these things. So we'll say we'll have lions on Earth, we'll have giraffes on Earth, we'll have buildings, we'll have this kind of society, we'll have cars. So what happens is that the beings in the sixth dimension are pulling templates. They pull a template of a car and put it in the fourth dimensional astral realm. In the fourth dimensional astral realm, that template of the car becomes an invention of the car, and then many cars propagate. So it's like a one-to-many relationship. One template creates many different kinds of physical realities. So that's what we
tell them about the tree.
Right. So the tree is a very good example of how sentient being on Earth retains its perfected holographic form. The holographic form being the template in the sixth dimension. So let's say in the sixth dimension, there's a template of a oak tree. And this oak tree template was sent to your backyard, and an oak tree grew into that template. Now, trees are very interesting because they go in a perfected shape. They go in a perfected line in most cases. Even when they're going crooked, there's perfection in that because nature is not crooked. Nature is perfect. So everything that happens in nature is perfect. It's only humanity which has corrupted our realm. But nature, which is 2D, one realm below us, is untampered with, meaning its blueprints are still perfect.
But go into how humans are corrupted. Remember how 60, when it comes in,
Yeah,
how much tampering. So basically, now that he talked about the tree, now let me talk about human beings. So when the 60 blueprints come down, there's no alteration of that happening for the tree. So the tree grows in its 60 blueprint on Earth. Humanity, on the other hand, has been tampered with. So the 60 blueprints are coming down for humanity like this, but the humanity is growing like this.
exactly.
Why? Because there has been extreme tampering of the human race by these negative extraterrestrial 4D beings called the Cabal, called the Deep State, called any of them. And this goes back thousands of years. It's not a new thing. It's not like Earth just grew the Cabal. In fact, it's only now that we're getting rid of the Cabal. It's only now that the age of enlightenment, the age of awakening, the golden age is just coming upon us, which means the word of God, as Siman was talking about earlier, has come all the way down where we're going to start seeing these commandments sent from the ninth dimension down in the third dimension. So humans, the 6D, when it comes down, are strands. So a fully functional Adam Cadmon being, a human being, we have 12 activated strands of DNA. 12 activated strands of DNA. Because of how much we have been tampered with, our DNA has been tampered with, it has been stunted. So the human population right now, let's say you have a 3D, when you were vibrating 3D or you know someone 3D individuals are operating with only, out of 12 strands, they're only operating with 2 strands of DNA. As you awaken, as you do more light work, as you heal your trauma, as you go to more events like the New Earth Music Festival and other events like this, where we do so much healing on your freaking light body, more and more strands come online. 3 strands. We've been through all these stages. 3 strands, 4 strands, 5 strands, 6 strands. And finally, you're like, holy shit, I can perceive more of reality. I can perceive so much. My psychic senses are going crazy. My guidance is going crazy. Why is all this happening? Many of you have seen my journey. I'm not like with my mind saying, I'm going to learn how to DJ. I'm going to learn how to sing. I'm going to learn how to play crystal bowls. But I'm singing like a freaking 8D
Like
opera
a
singer.
priestess.
And I have no idea where this is coming from. You know what I've done? I've never practiced. You know, the funny thing is before our events, I don't sit and practice like most musicians. I never practice. The day of the event, I'm like, oh, and someone's like, how the hell are you singing like this? I don't have any voice training. I'm just activating my DNA because as I'm ascending, my DNA is activating. I'm DJing, I'm doing all kinds of crazy things. I'm becoming a spiritual guide on earth. And sometimes I'm like, how the hell is all of this
It's like
happening?
a freak show.
Seriously, it just means that your DNA is activating, really. So that is only so basically we've come down from 6D. Our template has been severely corrupted by the cabal, by the dark ones, but now we've been given an option to come out of it, and that's what this period is all about. It's the period of healing, it's the period of taking back our power, it's the period of soul retrieval, saying, hey, where are all the fragmented pieces of my soul? I'm getting them back. Where are my traumas? Where am I still vibrating trauma? I am here to heal. I am here to grow. I am here to evolve. I'm here to activate my dormant DNA strands. And boom, off you go to the races, my friends, because we are sitting. We are sitting in the most pivotal times on planet Earth. When I first awoke 7 years ago, and Siman would tell me this, my guides would tell me this, I'd be like, yeah, I don't quite understand. You know what I've been shown? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of spaceships, like space shuttles, UFO, whatever you want to call it, like motherships, are currently, they have Earth on their screens, on their big screens, because what's happening on Earth right now, it's like prime time television for the galaxy. What's happening on Earth right now is the most entertaining, the most historic, the most interesting reality show in the galaxy. It's that big. It's that big. So really, 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 when you start thinking of the enormity of who you are and the times we're in, everything else in your lives will just come into place.
Yeah, that was beautifully said.
Right?
And I loved how you were channeling this energy.
I just felt excitement.
Yeah, it was coming through you. And so back to the sixth dimension where we were discussing the realm of perfected blueprints. Now, what's another example of a perfected blueprint? It's sacred geometry, right? So that's a great way to explain the sixth dimension through sacred geometry. So here we have a diagram of the platonic solids, and there are five platonic solids in existence that create all of existence. So by these shapes, we're all familiar with the tetrahedron, the cube. This is an octahedron, which is basically like a four-sided pyramid at the bottom, but two of them with this base touching. And there's a dodecahedron, which is a 12-sided shape. And then there's an I can't even pronounce it. Isocodrahedron, whatever. Anyway, it's 20-sided. So these five platonic solids, what this really means, what is a platonic solid? You know how our bodies are made of atoms and molecules, and those atoms and molecules bind together and they create our DNA, and then those DNA strands give instructions and create our cells, and those cells become our trillions of cells become our body. The same way, these are the cells, these are the building blocks, or you can say these are the Lego blocks of all of existence. How cool is that, right? So think of in the 6D realm, it's like a library. It's like a library of Lego blocks. It's like a 6D being, a Syrian being, like a Syrian ascended master would come into his office and he would pull up his computer screen and he would say, okay, I want to create a new world today. What should I create? I want to create a new life form. It may be like a new sentient being that has never existed before. What they'll do is they'll take a template of all the attributes that they have already in their database, all the templates of different life forms, and they'll say, okay, let's give this one 100 emotions, we'll give them 2 arms. So they're basically pulling up all these templates of reality and building a blueprint for this new life form. So that's actually how humans were created. We were not just evolved out of the ape species. That's a myth. The Darwin's theory of evolution is completely wrong. We actually were created in a laboratory, and we were created out of blueprints and templates. And the human template was not just it didn't just come out of an amoeba. It was brought to earth by higher dimensional beings that were also created by other higher dimensional beings. So all of these templates exist in the universe, in the galaxy, and these templates are used by higher beings to create life forms all over the galaxy. So the fact that there are trillions and trillions of life form means that in the sixth dimension there's a whole factory of beings working full time. And it's not that they have a job. They do this because this is their passion. They're just very highly evolved beings that like to experiment with reality. And they like to see, I'll give you a simple example. If humanity was created without the template of an opposing thumb, we could not invent anything with 4 fingers. Get it? Like if we had 4 fingers, we can't pick anything up. So if we had 4 fingers, if we were actually invented with 4 fingers by a 6D template that instead of 5 fingers, instead of 10 fingers chose 8, our whole society would evolve in a different way. We would not invent the wheel. We would not have the electricity. We would not have cars because we cannot literally do certain things. So these beings in the sixth dimension have to be very thoughtful and very mindful of the decisions they're making in their laboratory, because even the decision to give a species a nail or not to give them a nail can change the whole course of evolution over millions of years. So this is how intricately dimensions are laid on top of each other.
And we won't get into it in this video, but it's super quick to remember that a lot of people think we're just mere humans. We're not mere humans. We're actually the most advanced race because of the potential that we have when we've activated all of our dormant strands of DNA. So, really recognizing how powerful and enormous we are is like the first step before we go on that journey.
Yeah. And how does this tie to the platonic solids, which is a discussion we started? So basically, these are the building blocks of all of reality. So if an ascended being says, I'm going to pull up a different diagram. Yeah. If a six-dimensional Syrian being says, I want to create the template of a cow, they will create a blueprint of the cow in the sixth dimension, and then they'll send this blueprint through the morphogenic fields into Earth. So it's a one-to-many relationship. You only need one template of a cow. You don't need like millions of them because there's one kinds of cow. If it was a different breed of cow, it would have a slightly different template, but it would borrow a lot of its code from the original cow. This is literally the matrix we're living in. Everything is a code. So this cow births spawns the existence of so many cows. If this template changed, suddenly the cow has 3 ears instead of two. All these cows in our reality will change. They'll evolve to have 3 ears. That's how our reality works. And another way of accessing the sixth dimension from your house is your altar. So Eldora mentioned this earlier in the video, and we were waiting till the sixth dimension because the altar is basically a portal to a higher dimension. So what happens when you want to connect with your favorite angel or favorite ascended master? How does that process work? What really happens, the reason we say it's very important to prepare your altar in your house is because your altar becomes a focal point for higher dimensional energies. And it is highly recommended to adorn your altar with quartz crystals in sacred geometry kind of configurations. Like, for example, we can make a quartz crystal tapestry with always start with a circle, and because the circle encapsulates the energy of the altar. So if you're creating a sacred geometry tapestry of crystals, always create a circle as an outline, because the circle, everything in creation is encapsulated in a circle, and a circle harnesses the energy of the altar. Okay, if you make it square, then the energy will not flow, it'll like fly off the edges, right? You want a circle, and within the circle, so this is a very powerful nugget I'm giving you, and I want to explain it in more than one way because this is a tidbit of information that was given to me by a shaman who I only met a few times, and she was an expert in crystal grids. And this is knowledge that I have not found in any book or anywhere. And this was the most important piece of wisdom that I got from her, that if you ever build an altar, it should always be encapsulated in a circle. And those crystals in the circle don't necessarily have to touch each other. They can be loosely created in a shape. And within the circle, you have a center. So the altar always has a center. Within the circle, you can place a sacred item. You can place the figurine of any deity. What are all these figurines that we put in the sacred
like
altar?
Angel cards.
We put angel cards, we put feathers. These are all six-dimensional symbols. Do you understand? So the crystal grid, what does it look like to Metatron? Metatron is vibrating in the 12th dimension, like way beyond
Let's
our
say
discussion.
ninth dimension, whatever.
Sure. Metatron is in the realm of God. He's like chilling with God. And then he hears a voice in the third dimension and he says, hey, someone's holding a ceremony with my name. Okay, I better check it out. So he zones in with his psychic vision into planet Earth. And he zones into your house because that's where your command or your ping is coming from. And he sees, okay, do they have an altar? Oh, great, they made an altar. Okay, this person's sharp. This makes it easier for Metatron to lower his vibration from the 12th dimension all the way down to the 6th dimension. Now, what would happen if Metatron did not find an altar in your house? If there was just a couch and a bunch of messy dishes, Metatron's presence will not be as strong in your house. You get it? Now you understand why creating a proper altar with the sacred protocol is so important, because this is literally like a doorway or a portal or a gateway into a higher dimensional space.
And so basically, this is you sitting in the third dimension, accessing sixth dimension consciousness, and working with sixth dimensional or higher beings through your altar, which is creating a portal into the sixth dimension.
Right. So, like we said, the sixth dimension is the realm of sacred geometry and of symbols. All the Egyptian hieroglyphs are symbols because they're actually They're
Light
not just
transmissions.
they're not just letters etched in stone. Egyptian hieroglyphs are actually light language, where light is embedded in these forms, in these geometrical shapes or figures. And when we read them, the viewer is actually absorbing a lot more than the images. They're actually getting activated by the hieroglyphs because of their higher dimensional frequency. So it's this is how higher dimensional beings always use sacred geometry and symbols to access our dimension.
Even astrology is a 6D.
Yeah,
Astrology is basically working with your when you're working with astrology, you're working with a 6D science. It's a six
exactly.
dimensional
Because
science.
astrology is all about the sacred geometry of stars and how they affect our consciousness. And this is another way to understand how the sixth dimension is connected to the third dimension, because the stars are like in these 6D patterns, geometric patterns, and the stars form the zodiac. And there's 12 different aspects of the zodiac, and all of these stars, they're not just randomly scattered on the face of the galaxy.
I just want to take a moment to really commend Siman and myself. I'm getting so much love on us right now. If you guys knew how busy we were, we are in the middle of, I'm so proud of us,
We've
really.
been working nonstop,
We're in the middle of Croatia. We're fully in our divine mission. Our team is busy. We have a team of 10. They're all busy.
and we're so freaking proud of
Saman
them.
and I, we're so proud of our team. The Office of Christ, you guys are the best. You're our gifts. You're our biggest gifts, just like Soul Family. We just launched the mystery school. We just finished the House of Ra Tulum. We're already planning the Croatia event. We are so busy. And you know what our guides are saying? This is your time to be busy because you're setting up your business. You're
We're
setting
setting
up.
up our
Shall I
foundation.
tell you what our role is, guys, right now? And that's why I'm a bit spaced out today. And you have no idea how tired Siman is as well. We've been working hard, but in mastery while keeping ourselves in balance, while eating healthy. We don't have anyone to cook for
We
us
had a
right now.
water fast today.
We've been on a water smoothie fast. We've been very healthy eating. And I'm so proud of how you're going and how we're going and
I'm
how
proud
we're
of us.
explaining this, because you guys don't even know how. And in the middle of all this, in 3 weeks, we move out of England. We have no idea where we're going next. We were supposed to go to Croatia, but there's only a 90-day visa there. So we're going in mid-October to only stay 30 days or 90 days. We don't have a home yet. Like we're in constant flow, constant flux. Our fridge doesn't have any groceries because we just came back from London. And amidst all this, we are keeping up with our commitments. We are launching the mystery school. We're bringing you an event on September 4th. We've launched so many online courses. We've just done Miami event. We've done the Tulum event. We're now doing Croatia. And for those of you coming to Croatia, I have fucking news for you. We've been getting multiple downloads from different sources telling us that something big is happening in Croatia. I don't know if this is true or not, but we're getting premonitions that Croatia might be a very, 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 like, it could be, I'll just say it could be the rise of Atlantis. We don't know. Atlantis may rise in Croatia. We don't know this. We've not received direct guidance, but something I hadn't even heard of Croatia, and we're doing a festival there because it's aligned. And many of you know, when we go to these cities and we bring down these pillars from the
There's
higher
always
realms,
a reason.
there is always a huge reason. And the way I'm feeling is that Tulum was just a prep for Croatia. It's huge, you guys. It's huge. And I just want to say I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. Sorry, guys. I'm going to go blow my nose. You continue.
We're having a lot of fun here. Yeah. So, so I don't know how to get back from that, but I'm going to go straight into it. All right. So just to wrap up 6D, these are the building blocks of all of reality, right? So these are the 5 platonic solids that we said are like the Lego blocks that create everything in existence. So just to wrap this idea up, is that when a 6D being is creating reality, all of us are created from these shapes. The combination of these shapes and forms creates all the structures that exist. So, in other words, what you can say is everything that exists because of 6D holographic forms of perfected blueprints. Now, the seventh dimension becomes very interesting.
Yeah, go on.
Perfect. Okay, now the seventh dimension becomes very interesting. The seventh dimension is depicted by this diagram. So, first of all, to help you explain this diagram, this is this spiral in the middle, this this horizontal spiral that's going like this. This is our Milky Way galaxy. Okay. So imagine this is the Milky Way galaxy, and this is the center of the galaxy. Now, in the center of the galaxy is the pillar of the black hole. Scientists have discovered that in the very center of the galaxy is a black hole, and that black hole creates an emanation or pillar of light that has such a powerful gravimetric field that everything spins around it. And out of that black hole, it's like this black hole. What is a black hole, first of all? A black hole is a star that has come to maturity and it has imploded on itself. And by imploding on itself, it creates literally like a star. You can imagine how big a star is, right? Like if the planet Earth is like the diameter of your finger, the sun would be the diameter of my head. And stars are usually the diameter of the wall behind me. Compare our sun to the wall behind me. That's how big some stars can get, and even much bigger. So this will just give you an idea. When a star implodes on itself, this is a very gigantic structure, and it implodes into the mass that is, you can literally hold that space, that mass. It implodes on itself to the size of a tennis ball. So if you take like a drop of that matter that creates the black hole, it's like the whole size of the sun. It's that dense. So all of this galactic star particles implode on themselves and create a very dense gravimetric field because of its density, because of its sheer density and how powerful this implosion is. Its magnetic field is depicted by these circle lines. So the magnetic field of the black hole pulls everything in towards it. So it's constantly like sending impulses to pull everything inwards. And these stars are trying to expand outwards because their force is to expand outwards. That's why the stars are not flying off in our Milky Way. They're all held. So there's a balance between moving out and moving in. Now, in the seventh dimension is literally the photon band. So all of these electromagnetic frequencies of our galaxy are like a photon band that intersects with our solar systems. For example, right now, as you're aware, our solar system is moving through the photon band because it's the age of Aquarius. So in this diagram, you can think of our solar system as a speck or a dot in the outer fringe of the galaxy. And it's literally moving through one of these bands right now. These are the 7D photon bands. Now, we also said that 7D is the realm of sacred sound. So if you go back to the sacred scriptures, they say that everything was created out of the emanation of the sound Om. That's why mystics have always said that the sound frequency of Om is a very sacred sound. So have you guys ever seen a cymatics machine? It's like a drum. It's like a drum with sand on it. And a cymatics machine is just like a drum with sand. And when you vibrate sound on that drum, the drum starts vibrating and the sand particles disperse in a pattern. So scientists have discovered that if they emanate the sound of Om into a cymatics machine, it actually forms the sacred geometry of the cosmic Sri Yantra, which is all those triangles superimposed over each other. And they kind of look like this pattern. So the sound of Om, scientists have actually established, forms the sacred geometry of the Sri Yantra, which is multiple triangles. And the Sri Yantra is the blueprint of the entire universe. So that's what it really means, that Om created the universe. Om created the vibrations in the seventh dimension that were stepped down into the cosmic Sri Yantra in the sixth dimension that created the reality of 5D and below. So coming back to the photon bands, shoot, this thing keeps flipping on me. Coming back to the photon bands, currently we're moving through the photon band of one of the photon bands of the 7D frequencies. And because we're moving through these photon bands, this is a good example of how the seventh dimensional realm affects Earth. So how we use that example of new Earth and how God gave the commandment to get rid of all duality in this plane of existence, in the seventh dimension, that becomes a commandment, the commandment becomes the word of God, because the seventh dimension is all about sound, and sound emanations in the seventh dimension become the word of God. So if a commandment is sent from source in the seventh dimension, it translates as a word of God. And that word is not just like a human word, it's like a cosmic word. An example of that could be when Earth is, when you actually listen to the frequency of Earth, it's actually emanating a humming sound. So if you can actually YouTube this, if you YouTube the sound of planet Earth, there's a very angelic, mellow frequency. It's like a hissing, humming frequency. You can actually listen to it. It's very beautiful.
Even the sun, for example, has its own frequency.
Yeah.
These they just emanate sound.
Sun actually emanates Om.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an example
We've
of.
been 1 minute, 1 hour 51 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, fine. We're almost there.
Yes.
This is the finish line.
Yes.
So in the seventh dimension, we're all about sacred sounds and the word of God. In the eighth dimension, we are. Too many diagrams.
They are loving it. I'm reading some of your comments and I can feel you guys.
We're almost there, guys. So in the seventh dimension is sound. In the eighth dimension, like we said earlier, is the eighth dimensional blueprints of light. So you can think of light in the eighth dimension as 1 octave higher than sound. Another way of saying this would be, if you kept playing the keys in a piano and you never stopped, you would keep going octaves and octaves and octaves higher. Eventually, you would reach 6D geometry. Eventually, after that, you would reach 7D sound. Eventually, after that, an octave higher, you would reach 8D of pure light. So eighth dimension is the mind of God. If seventh dimension is the word of God, eighth dimension is the mind of God. And what does it mean to be the mind of God? It means that in the eighth dimension, you'll find angels, you'll find ascended masters, you'll find all of these angelic beings that carry out the commandments of God. So the eighth dimension is a realm of pure perfection, and many of these higher dimensional beings actually live in the eighth dimension. So eighth dimension is where when God says this has to happen, it's formulated in the eighth dimension as a perfected blueprint of light, and then it propagates down. And the ninth dimension, finally, is the black hole in the center.
We made it to the ninth dimension. Yay. Wow. I am really impressed with this, how this video flowed. Wow.
So, oh my God.
I know, right?
So it's hard to hold this thing. Okay. So, okay. I don't know how to hold this thing.
You want me to hold it?
No, it's fine. Okay, so the ninth dimension is actually the pillar in the center. So you can see if this is the pillar, I haven't drawn a pillar, but imagine there's a pillar there. That would be the ninth dimension. So the ninth dimension is actually connected to your vertical column. You see how
pillar of light.
Your pillar of light. So that pillar of light that runs through your body is connected to the galactic center. And some people might be asking, where's the great central sun? The great central sun is the central sun of the universe, not of our galaxy. The great central sun is the humongous sun that connects multiple galaxies to each other. And this vertical pillar or axis, that this is our galaxy, and there's millions of, okay, I'm not even going to bother. There's millions of such galaxies, and all of these galaxies form one universe. And all of these galaxies are connected to each other through the pillar in the center. So the ninth dimensional black hole is actually, if you pass through a black hole, which none of us can do without being defragmented, if we were to pass through a black hole, theoretically, we would end up in another galaxy through a void. But in that galaxy, we would be a white hole. A white hole is the opposite of a black hole. So every black hole has a white hole in another dimension of the universe. So this is how combinations of black holes and white holes are connecting millions of galaxies to each other, and this forms the whole cosmic whole of the universe. And eventually our goal is to climb through all the ladders of ascension, all the ladders of consciousness, to go past duality, to go past right and wrong, to go into our hearts, into unity consciousness, into the fifth dimension. But our journey doesn't stop. That's the whole point of this video. Even when we reach unity consciousness, even when we
reach Jesus Christ.
Yeah, even when Jesus Christ was a ninth dimensional being from Andromeda. He was sent from Andromeda because Andromeda carries the perfected blueprint of 9D, and Andromedans are the keepers of 9D. So when Earth was corrupted, they needed assistance from another galaxy, which was Andromeda, to send us a Messiah, which so Jesus was essentially a ninth dimensional Messiah. What that means, he was an avatar of perfected form. So this ninth dimensional being came to assist humanity because we were cut off from everything above 4D. And many people don't know this, but Jesus and Mary Magdalene actually had offspring. People don't know this, but what Jesus and Mary Magdalene did, they injected the earth with their blood. So you see how the elite ones try to corrupt our blood with the jab? The the Messiah or the Savior came to inject humanity with the perfected blood blueprint of the ninth dimension. And because of this injection of DNA into the human consciousness, we once again now have a roadmap, and we're no longer limited by the fourth dimension, and we can continue to evolve. So just wanted to conclude by shedding light on the fact that our evolution never stops.
Never.
We continue to evolve past the fifth dimension. We become higher dimensional beings. We go for millions of years and stay in the sixth dimension. Then we experience different realities. We can do more things. In each dimension, we can have more powers and more responsibility. So no one wants to stay in one dimension forever because it becomes boring. You've done everything there is to do in that dimension.
And I also want to tell them right now, our divine mission is to create, this is what our guides want us to do right now above all else. Our mission right now is to create a 5D blueprint on planet Earth. So many of you know that our director of operations, Yana, recently we parted ways, and right now we, Siman and I, are being asked to be the leaders of our organization. And they're saying we won't really, we're looking for a CEO, but the guides are saying what we want is, because the guides are basically, what they're saying is your CEOs will be 4D consciousness. They'll say your CEOs don't have 5D consciousness. So what they're telling us for this year, for the remainder of this year, is they're saying this year, we want you to really infuse 5D consciousness into your business and create a structure in every aspect of the business, every aspect of it. Even we're not perfect. We're learning as we go. We make mistakes, but we're very, very guided. You know how it feels, guys? This is really, it blows our minds. In the Office of Christ, we just had a team meeting the other day with the Office of Christ members, and we said to them, what is the Office of Christ? Really, up in the fifth dimension, there is an actual body, an actual
There's
office,
an actual office
council
of Christ in Sirius.
Yes. And you know how we feel? We are just the human vessels, but the guides are literally fully in charge. Fire this person, hire this person, keep this person. They bring us all the people we need to connect with, which is why so we're carrying out the divine orders of the Office of Christ here on planet Earth. And what we're doing right now is sowing the seeds, like we've got it from the sixth dimension down. And there are no 5D companies that I know of on planet Earth. So we're amongst the first to really sow the seeds of 5D business, also the seeds of New Earth communities. The New Earth Music Festival is all about New Earth. Like if you're in the New Earth Music Festival, it literally feels like you're teleported into a different dimension for
Yeah,
those
you
five or
have to
six days.
experience the New Earth Music Festival, guys. I'm
Just
telling
coming
you.
will raise your
It's a
vibration.
different dimension, and we're not mincing words. Literally, we have created the fifth dimension on Earth, and I'm very
Yes.
proud to be able to say that.
Yes.
We've
Yes, yes,
literally
yes, yes.
created New Earth already, and
Yes.
you have to experience it for yourself, because the people who go there are going to tell you about it,
Oh, oh.
but that's only going to give you a hint. You cannot even describe what happens there in words, because it floors
If
us.
you have to use your savings to go, use it. It's worth it because
It'll
that
change
it's a
you.
portal. It's a freaking
It'll
portal.
change you.
Do you want to tell them real quick, one last minute on your
Oh,
mushroom
those
ceremonies
who
and how
were
you
wondering what
accessed?
happened to Yana Sofia, because
Oh,
not everyone was aware
oh,
of the announcement. She actually had an illness in the family, and because of that, she decided to resign from her position. And we sent her off very honorably and thanked her. She has dedicated so much of her personal life to assist our mission. And
she's been
while she was with
amazing.
us, she was really holding us, and we felt so supported by her, and
I do want to say a
always thank
spiritual
her.
perspective, though. I always like to share spiritual perspectives. So, Yana leaving is always a spiritual reason. So, she was extremely, this is very important, and we'll wrap with this. She was extremely interested in going the whole way with us. She was interested in going the whole way. She was losing weight. She was starting to feel activated, passion, drive. All kinds of things were activating within her that she had never seen before. But guys, I say this with all my love. First of all, we were shown right away that her physical body, remember I told you in the diagram, the physical body has a vibration. The office of Christ, our vortex, has a vibration.
The office of Christ vibrates in the 60.
Correct. So the office of Christ vibrates in 6D, which is why we work with people who are able to handle the intensity and the vibration of it without getting fried. And all that means is to be a student of the ascension, to keep yourself in balance in all ways. It's not hard, but it's not easy either. For Siman and I, it's actually not easy. We're constantly up leveling our game. If not, like we are not able to do our divine mission if we can't. But see, with Yana, and this is what I want to share with you all. I've never shared this with anybody, not even our team. One, of course, her physical body was going out of vibration. But the second thing, you know what it was? When you have a job in the office of Christ, when you are doing Yeshua's work on planet Earth,
And Mary
and
Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene's work on planet Earth, and I say this with all my love, all of a sudden in 3D, let's say your uncle gets cancer or whatever, a terminal illness, and you love your uncle. He's been there for you. He's protected you when your own father was trying to hit you. He was protecting you. One of the most important things as a master that Saman and I have been trained on is to not have all our tentacles attached to 3D. Meaning, our guides have trained us saying, be that rooted tree that the storm cannot throw away or pull away or uproot.
Hmm.
Be that rooted tree. So, in Yana's case, what she's done is right away when her uncle developed a terminal illness, for her, it was a no brainer. She's like, I'm quitting my job. I'm putting my uncle's life first. If he has 3 months, 6 months, I don't know how many months he has to live because it's stage 4, but I cannot function right now. And this is a very, very common trait in light workers where we put everyone ahead of ourselves. And now I'm going to talk about consciousness. A high consciousness approach to the same situation would be, I'm not going to sacrifice myself like the sacrificial lamb where I become a nurse. What am I going to do? I'm going to invest in care. I'm going to keep my job, keep my sanity, care for my uncle with all my love, hire help. You don't just quit the biggest gift. Like Yana, this job was the biggest gift to her. Like she shared with me that nothing has, we sent her on a flight to Croatia to check out this 5-star hotel. She spent 2 nights there. She visited us in England. We had all kinds of plans to go to Egypt, to go to to Mount Shasta. But my point is, Yana is the most beautiful soul. But what did she do? When this happened, she completely uprooted herself. She says, I'm sacrificing everything good in my life everything that has ever, she adored us. She adored us. She didn't even think to say,
And it was her dream job.
this was her
It's
dream
not
job.
like it
Guys,
was
this
average.
was her dream job. She was making excellent money. She was making $2,000 more per month than her 3D job
And
of
we
30
were like
years.
flying her over around the world.
So what did she do? Instantly, she didn't even compute the fact that, hey, maybe I have to continue with the office. These are all initiations, my friend.
And I'm going to give
I want you to absorb that. These are initiations.
And I'm going to give a flip side of the same example because many of you might be wondering in a similar situation. We're not saying this is the only answer or this is the only answer and you must wear it in order to ascend. You have both answers. What we're really saying is what is the right answer for you. For someone in their life, in their point of life, to align their will with divine will may mean to care for their dying mother or dying uncle.
Correct.
Or terminally ill
your soul will
family
know.
member. If that's your sole purpose, what we are saying is then that's what you should follow. But what we are also saying is that in this example, from a higher dimensional perspective, we can see that there's self-sabotage involved.
If you guys
And in
haven't
this
watched the
case,
video, please do. It's our previous
exactly.
video. It's called How Light Workers Self-Sabotage Their Fucking Selves.
Yeah,
It's not called that.
All we're
but
saying is that we can see that the soul's purpose was, in Yana's case, to follow this path, but she chose to follow this path.
out
No
of-
disrespect,
not
that's
at
your
all.
that's your divine authority, but we're taking liberty to use this as an example.
Yes.
But again, there's no right and wrong. This is your free will. If you go on a tangent sideways for a while, you'll always come back. But what we teach in our ascension school is take a straight path. Don't take deviations.
And
don't
more
zigzag.
than anything, this analogy that don't let 3D uproot you from your roots. Be that pillar. Remember, you're walking as a pillar, a galactic, royal, regal pillar, connected all the way from 1D to 9D. You're connected all the way. The pillar doesn't just crumble and fall and change everything. The pillar stands strong.
The pillar knows where it's going.
Yes.
It always has its
Yes.
goal in sight.
And I feel like that was very important to share. So really summarizing that your ascension, make that your top priority. It's not selfish to love yourself. It's not selfish to invest in yourself.
And there's always more than one solution to any given problem. You don't have to
Yes.
jump at anything.
High five, baby.
High five.
Holy
We did
fuck.
it.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I think we should go to a pub and have a beer.
Which dimension
Oh
would
my
that be?
God. We're on a water fast today. Can we have a beer on a water fast?
Technically, that's a
Beer
liquid.
is like barley, no?
Yeah.
It's
a liquid.
healthy. Let's go out. Guys, can we have a beer? Is it good on a water fast? Is beer like super? Is barley, right?
We're going to go fight some entities and tell you guys what happened.
I think we need to celebrate.
It's a shaman's liberty.
Okay, somebody says no, we're not going to listen to them. Go for it. Perfect. Ah, that's amazing.
Oh, by the way, I want to correct the timeline and say never fight entities because that's a losing battle. Always love them.
Yes.
Because to exit the fourth dimension, we don't fight anything. We win it with love.
Yes. Yes.
And we love you guys.
We love you guys. Take care, my friends. Bye now. We'll chat with you soon.
Bye-bye.